lauding our troops for 250 years of incredible service. It seems like once again, they're just making it too easy for this president to really score points.
Without doubt. In fact, the White House official told Politico Playbook, this is yet again another 80-20 issue where Democrats have chosen the 20 side, and we are thrilled to lean into this. But yet, the left thinks they're winning. I mean, Karen Bass referred to this as Trump's chaos. Gavin Newsom, in an interview, said 3 times Trump's mess. So the talking points have gone out. They're trying to avert blame to President Trump. And what they fail to realize is the 10th Amendment gives them, the states, the police power to patrol their streets. That is in the Constitution. But they're not doing it. And when you don't do it, President Trump learned a lesson in 2020. And it's when the Democrat mayors and governors fail to patrol their streets and wage the police power, he will step in. He used the National Guard when St. John's Church burned. We see him using the National Guard now. He has the power to do that. Title 10, Section 12406 gives him the power. He has said, I'll use the Insurrection Act if needed. He said that today. He hasn't gone there yet, but he will use it if needed. He threatened that. He had me go to the podium and threaten that back in 2020. Because he's learned left-wing mayors, left-wing governors, they find good company in chaos. We learned from Wheeler in Portland. We learned from Kate Brown in Portland when rioters tried to burn down a courthouse. We learned from Mayor Durkin in Seattle with the chop zone where 2 were killed. We learned from Tim Walz in Minnesota what left-wing governors do when their streets are lit on fire, which is avert blame and don't take action.
Yeah, that was the summer of love that she proclaimed. I hope we're not seeing another summer of love in Los Angeles. Harold, when you look at this situation, I think of Jay Johnson, the Department of Homeland Security chief under President Obama, who said that the current immigration environment under President Biden was not sustainable. I think to myself when I look at these images, because it's hard to image, what does he mean? What does unsustainable look like? I think Los Angeles right now is what unsustainable looks like, having let 12 to 20 million people cross the border.
So it's a couple of questions in there. I think 1 or 2 things. I don't disagree with anything that Caleb. Welcome to both of you. Disagree with anything you said in terms of the partisan stuff we can quarrel about. But there's no doubt that the president, if you were president of the United States anyway, you saw these kind of images, you want to be helpful. And for the president to use that authority, I think is understandable. I think some of the frustration on the part of some, and I condemn the violence. There's no excuse, there's no explanation, there's no room for this kind of behavior. And if we can't, as a political class, Democrat and Republican, agree on that, then we have far worse problems. I tried to describe yesterday. But what frustrates me, Mark, is that what I can't figure out is there seems to be a lot of firepower going around. The Marines, the National Guard, the Los Angeles Police, and I understand it might even be out. Some of the cities right outside of Los Angeles, there are police there. It doesn't seem to be as coordinated as it should be. And I hope that the president and the governor, the escalation and that craziness between the 2 of them, and even with the mayor, everyone's got to leave the politics out of it for a moment, even if it means you capitulate to one side or the other. We need to do it to get these images off, not only the images, but people who are living in this environment, who own stores, who own homes, who for that matter, are out there protesting peacefully. These are professionals, as President Trump rightly said. So I have no issue with the military and with law enforcement being here. I just wish it was more coordinated.
Yeah, the president said we're not playing around. He wants to see this end, Jesse. 40-point swing in Latino voters from President Biden's election till now. 40 points. And a lot of the spoilers that Harold was talking about, we've heard from, they're speaking out. They're Latino Americans, people who have come to this country. They're here legally now. They're like, get out of my store, stop breaking my stuff. Someone put this to an end. Your thoughts?
They're looting 7-Elevens, and not to be stereotypical, but you can see the video. The guys that own the 7-Elevens are immigrants, and they don't want it. We have a role in Jesse Ware's primetime, Martha. You can make a mistake, but don't make the same mistake twice. And Democrats. We just did this 4 years ago with Black Lives Matter. Their argument back then was that you have to have less law enforcement, and then you have less crime. Well, how did that work? They're arguing the same thing. If you just take away the National Guard, then all the riots are going to stop. It's not going to stop. And they're not going to be able to BLM these riots like last time. Because I looked on Instagram. Remember what the white girls did during the Summer of Love? They put just the black for BLM. No one's doing that. None of these people are putting the Mexican flag up. None of these companies are being shook down to donate to some La Raza or anything like that. They don't even have a Floyd. They don't even have a Maryland dad. Who's the victim? Some pedophile that just got iced? It's disgusting. They can't control the narrative. And that's why they're just lying to you. Gavin Newsom said Trump never called me. Trump showed his phone to John Roberts. He had a 16-minute conversation. And this is what they did with inflation. It's what they did with the border. It's what they did with Biden's brain. They just tell you you're not seeing what you're seeing, and they think they can get away with it. And then they're trying to frame Trump as the dictator. Well, Trump wasn't the one with vax mandates. He wasn't the one to censure people or disobey the courts or arrest his rival. He just wants peace. That's it. And Rick touched on this yesterday. What they're doing is extortion. And they're telling you that. They're saying, when you leave, we'll stop lighting fires. You're just supposed to give in to that? No one's going to give in to that. I haven't seen any of these National Guard vehicles get torched. I haven't seen National